Hello, and welcome to Wealth Health. My name is Terry Dean, and for the next 15 minutes, we're going to be taking a look at the health of your wealth and strategies for securing its future. With us today are Tom Jarrett and Sean Shadwell, certified financial planners and partners with the Premier Planning Group. Today, we're going to discuss retirement strategies with a focus on planning for individuals in the healthcare industry. Tom, let me start with you. When it comes to retirement planning, we hear a lot of terms: IRAs, 401ks, Roth. Help us understand what those mean and how they apply to somebody planning their financial future.
Yeah, so generally speaking, if you hear a number associated with account, a 401k, 403b as an example, that is an employer-sponsored plan. So that's what you would get through work. Depending on what hospital you're with or healthcare system, you may have one, you may have the other. There's some very, minor differences between the two, but effectively, they are the same. And that is that you get a tax benefit for putting the money in, and then they are what are called qualified accounts. So you get a tax benefit as the money stays in the account, meaning you're not paying capital gains, you're not taxed on interest, things to that effect. When you hear IRA, that stands for individual retirement account. So that would be something you would do outside of your employer. Again, how you can invest the money, how much you can put in, different income limitations apply to those accounts as well. And we'll talk a little bit, down the line here about how we can use those in tandem or what we'll see. But in a general sense, with a lot of clients that we work with in healthcare, when they're coming out of school, when they're starting in their careers, they go, okay, we know we have this account. I'm in my website. It says, do I want to contribute pre-tax or Roth? Here's really the significance. When you contribute pre-tax, you are lowering your taxable income. The thought is when you take the money out of the account, you'll be in a lower tax rate by comparison. That's how you would get the biggest benefit. So you would be deferring your taxes on that money. With Roth, it's the opposite. You're using after-tax money, with the benefit being that down the road, when you take it out, you'll get that money out tax-free. So generally speaking, a rule of thumb would be, hey, I'm a young person. Maybe I'm in my residency. I want to start saving. Well, I'm going to contribute Roth money because I'm not making a lot and I'm in a pretty low tax rate. Whereas with our clients who are more advanced in their careers, whether they're nurses, doctors, et cetera, it really doesn't matter. But depending on what's going on in their financial lives, if they're in a higher tax rate, we encourage them to save pre-tax because you're lowering your tax rate today and deferring those taxes until a later date where ideally you'll be in a lower tax bracket.
Sean, is there any type of limit on how much you can contribute to your retirement account, be it a Roth or a IRA?
Yeah, that's a great point, Terry. So there are different limits based off of your employer plan versus your personal individual retirement account. So personally, you're able to put in $20,500 total dollars out of your paycheck as an employee. That does not include the extra that your employer may add. So if they do a profit sharing or they have a company match, that is on top of what that $20,500 number is. Personally, with an IRA, whether it's a traditional that you're deducting the taxes or a Roth that you're putting in after taxes, you're able to do up to $6,000 total per year per person. Once you're over 50, both plans do have what's called a catch up. And again, on the 401k, 403b side, that is a much greater number than it is in an IRA. But they both have a catch-up provision to allow you to save more once you get over 50 years of age.
Tom, Sean mentioned 403BC. Was that correct? Is that how I heard it?
403B.
403B. What is that? How's that differ?
Yeah, so 403Bs, and that's referencing a part of the tax code. So 403Bs are used for nonprofits, generally speaking. Effectively, they're very similar to, say, a 401k, meaning you put money in, there's a tax benefit, you invest it, there's a plan lineup of investments that you choose from. And 403Bs, without getting too complicated, have a catch-up provision for more tenured folks. That's a little bit different than 401ks, but we don't see it very often. But effectively, they're the same thing for all intents and purposes.
This is a hypothetical, but if I put in the maximum that I'm allowed every year, I start out, let's say, in my early 20s, what are the chances I'll end up a millionaire?
Well, I'm assuming that you're going to work a full career, so we'll call it 30 plus years. And I would say, Terry, if it's invested appropriately, uh, I'll just say risk appropriately. I would say the odds of you, and we can't guarantee anything, but are pretty close to 100%.
All right. Well, so what would be some of the investment options that I would learn about working with you fellas?
So I'll start this one off. And when we look at employer sponsored plans, so 403B, and I'm going to focus on 403B just because in the healthcare community, typically we're seeing nonprofit hospitals or practices, and so they're leveraging the 403B. So again, same as a 401k. As a whole, there are some nuance, but we're going to focus on the 403B for the medical community. When you look at an employer sponsored plan, when they put it together, they put a lineup of investments, and that is what you have to purchase. So you can't go get whatever you want. You're limited to what your employer puts in the plan. And they will have things like what's called a target date fund. So that's a mutual fund that inside of it has a bunch of other investments, and it's tied to a date. That date's saying that's when you're getting close to retirement. So if you're younger, it's going to be more aggressive. And as time goes, then that's going to get a little more conservative over the years. And then once you get into and beyond retirement, it'll continue to be more conservative. Again, that's tied to a date though. So it doesn't have any customization to you and your personal situation, but those are usually like a default investment option in a 403B, an employer sponsored plan. And then there's a variety of other mutual funds that will make up that investment lineup. And that's what you're always going to have as far as 403Bs go. You're always going to have a mutual fund, which is one investment that has a variety of other investments inside of itself. Some of them aggressive, some of them more conservative, but as a whole, you might get 20 or 30 options within your 403B.
So, Tom, tell me, as I do my planning, I'm making my contributions every year. How is it that you gentlemen can enhance what my company can provide for me? Is it okay for me just to make the contribution and call it a day, or what more should I be looking at?
Yeah, well, certainly you're able to do that. One of the things on the 403B side that those plans have is what's called brokerage link or self-directed brokerage. And basically what that allows is it's a portal within the plan that opens up to a different, I'll say menu of options. So with a lot of our clients in healthcare, we see where either it's one spouse who's working, right? Say maybe a doctor and they're having a family, and so the spouse is maybe a stay-at-home spouse, or we'll see it where one of the spouses or both the couple are both doctors, or one's maybe successful in business and the other one is, a nurse or what have you. So really a one size fits all approach doesn't make a lot of sense for these people because, they may be taking too much risk or not enough, who knows, but within that self-directed brokerage option, that allows a third party to access it, or if you're more of a do-it-yourselfer, it gives you more options. But with a lot of our clients, we've had success doing this for them because people in the healthcare community, yes, they have an 800 number that they can call, but they don't get customized advice, So this functionality in those plans allows people to get custom advice through, what they have through work. And that's, pretty unique. Not a lot of industries offer that.
John, many times people think they have their money in what they think is a secure, safe investment, but they really could be costing themselves tens of thousands, if not more dollars. Do you have any situations where you've run into that?
Yeah, Terry, actually, I got a really good story on one of my clients. She's 45, pharmacist at a local hospital. And when we started working together, found out they had the self-directed brokerage link. And so we were talking about how we can utilize that. But as I reviewed what she was in, half of her account was in a money market making less than 1%. At 45 years old and willing to take the risk of someone retiring at 65, she should have been more aggressive in the stock market. She had no idea why she was in the money market or how the money even ended up in that account. And most likely at some point there was a default that her money was just going into the money market. And later she ended up in one of the target date retirement funds targeting when she would be around 65. So that part of her money had a decent risk quality for her. But the money market, again, at 45, getting 1%, you're losing out on some really important compound interest. And since we started doing a custom portfolio for her, she's been really happy with her risk profile and returns.
Well, it probably would be safe to say that over the time of your career, over the span of your career, the decisions that you make early on and how it's invested could literally result in the difference of millions of dollars by the time you retire. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, Terry, you're spot on. I mean, we've seen in our some prior roles that Tom and I had where people would have money going into their 401k or 403b, and the default would be a money market or a stable value type investment that, it's an interest bearing CD savings type account. And if you're 25 years old and you're getting, last decade, interest rates have been so low and you're getting 1-2%, you're not tracking early in your career to get that compound interest that's going to propel you by the time you're 60, 65 to have the assets you need. So that's where having some customization and making sure you're taking the right risk for you and not just as a general overall like year, if you will, makes a big difference so that you can be tailored to what your risk goals and futures look like.
So, gentlemen, in the moments that we have remaining, are there any other things that we should be aware of in investing for your future?
Well, I think one of the things that's very common that we see is a lot of people in healthcare will go to school for a period of time. Maybe then they'll work for a couple of years and then they'll go back, right? So maybe they'll go back to get a graduate degree or they'll go back to finish, their doctorate. And in that time, what we'll see is people will save money to their employer plan that they're with. And then when they go back to school, they're not working. And so we talked a little bit about pre-tax and Roth. And one of the things that you can do is take pre-tax money and turn it into Roth money, but you have to pay taxes on the conversion. So a story that I like to tell is I have a client who's a nurse anesthetist. He makes, a pretty good living, and he went to school for 4 years, got his undergraduate degree. He then worked at a hospital as a nurse. He was there for about 3 years, saved some money in their plan, and then he went to get his nurse anesthetist degree. In that time, I told him, hey, you need to take your pre-tax money in your old plan and convert it to Roth, because he wasn't working. He had $0 of income. So he converted that, paid no taxes on it, and now that money is going to grow for the next 30 years tax-free, whereas if he didn't do that, it would have been tax deferred. So we do see a big opportunity with people where they can have some major tax efficiencies down the road if you just kind of think about what's going on and what they're doing. I think the other thing too, Terry, that we see with a lot of people in healthcare is they typically make a good living, whether they're, nurses, doctors, et cetera. And there are ways that you can pair what you're doing through work with an individual account to make sure that your money grows as tax deferred as possible. So you're not, you're paying taxes on your income, but we try to limit what you're paying taxes on as far as capital gains, interest, things like that.
And I'll add one more to Tom. So he mentioned Roth conversion. Well, a lot of times, especially in healthcare, in our current environment, nurses are probably making more money now than they ever have. Ever since COVID, that's really ramped up. We know doctors always have been successful. Even like administrative people in like the HR department or different admin type roles. If you take a married couple that both work, you get phased out of contributing to a Roth IRA really quickly. And the one thing that we tell people is there's what's called a backdoor. There's a two-step way that no matter how much money you make, you can always get money into a Roth IRA. And the power of being able to, have two good incomes and be phased out, but still take advantage of money that'll be tax-free for the rest of your life as you're going through your career. That's super powerful on the back end. And so we try and educate all of our clients on how they're able to potentially do this backdoor two-step option as well to keep taking advantage of the Roth money.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you, Tom. Today, you've been watching Wealth Health, a discussion regarding the health of your wealth for people working in the healthcare industry. If you'd like to have our guests, Tom Jerrison or Sean Chadwell, take a closer look at your financial picture, send them an email at wealthhealth.info or contact them through the Wealth Health site that you are now viewing. I'm Terry Dean, your host, wishing you good health, prosperous wealth, and a very good day. Thank you.